This guy is not a fool. He is the CEO and chairman of the board of BTCS Incorporated, ticker symbol BTCS. Our friend Charles Allen back with us here on the Big Biz Show. Charles, my friend, how are you, man?
Good. That's good to be back on. I appreciate you having me.
As always, we enjoy having you. Hey, let's start off by talking about this Clarity Act and what it means for people in your line of work. Correct me if I'm wrong, it goes before the Senate this week?
It's moving forward.
Okay.
So, knock on wood, we get clarity from the Clarity Act.
Yeah. What does that entail?
So, I guess before digging into that, if I just kind of take a step back and kind of try to frame why it's important and what it means, and I'd start at a much higher level and say, there's a huge trend right now in the economy for people to take ownership and direct control of everything, right?
Right.
We've seen it in manufacturing with 3D printing. We've seen it with energy, with rooftop solar. We've seen it with transportation, with ride sharing and Uber. With economics, it's via the blockchain and DeFi, and without getting into all the intricacies, it really allows the ability to move assets globally without a trusted third party. And that is so powerful, right? Instantaneously, 24/7. And so all those things I just mentioned were industries that came really to fruition based on regulatory clarity or change, right?
Yeah.
3D printing, desktop 3D printing didn't really come through till a patent expired, right? FDM technology. With transportation, Uber had to fight the medallion rules to not be a taxi company, and there's a whole Netflix documentary on that.
Yep.
And so for the last 10 years, we've been fighting in the blockchain space on the ability to just build a tech company that's going to transform the economics of the world, and we've been shut down. And so we had the Genius Act last year, and now we have the Clarity Act. And if that comes through, what I think is going to happen is we'll see a lot of institutions that have been sitting on the sideline start to have money flow in. We'll see just a huge influx over time of products and services that can move on chain 24/7, whether that's real estate, whether it's concert tickets, whether it's stable coins. So there's just a lot that can happen when you start to allow for clear regulation if you're going to operate within this digital economy. So I know that's very high level, but I think it's why it matters. We got some clarity on the Genius Act on stable coins, and this is the next step. Why that matters for BTCS. I mean, if you're interested in that theme of decentralization, if you liked it in manufacturing, you liked it in energy or transportation, I mean, we're one of the few ways you can get exposure to it in the public markets on blockchain. So,
Charles Allen is the CEO, chairman of the board of BTCS Incorporated, ticker symbol BTCS. Charles, is it a situation, though, as far as, you mentioned the Genius Act and now we're with the Clarity Act, 30,000-foot view, is it a situation where a lot of people within the circles that you work in are kind of sitting here looking at this going, why didn't we do this earlier, or did you have to wait for the technology to catch up?
I think we why didn't we do this earlier? It was there was an administration that had zero interest in the technology, right? I mean, the SEC was kind of everybody out of business for the better part of 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, just Google Gary Gensler and see what comes up. If you add crypto as a keyword there.
Yeah.
So looking at where we are today, we've got Congress moves slowly, right? It takes time for these various things to get through the House and the Senate and then signed in. So I think we've moved quite quickly in the last year and a half. So I'm very optimistic, and if it takes hopefully it's soon. I think there were some compromises. It really came down to at the end, and this is kind of getting a little bit more into the weeds. The kind of traditional finance world did not want interest on deployed assets. So if you had stable coins and they were passively, they were deployed, you couldn't earn interest. They're kind of acting like a bank.
Yeah.
So I think the compromise, and I haven't, without getting into the detailed language, is if it's a productive asset and it's doing something apart from just being a passive deployment, then you can have interest. But that was really the sticking point. It really doesn't matter for us as a company. So having regulations that come across, get over the line before there's changes to Congress that would make it more difficult or kick the can down the road a couple years. I think that's the most important thing. Some of the nuanced differences that don't really affect our business are, we're not that focused on.
Hey, Charles, I have a question. I was reading about you being one of the or BTCS being one of the first companies, or maybe the first public company to pay out shareholders in Ethereum. Is that accurate? And tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so now we did it in Bitcoin back in, I think, 2020 or 2021, and we did it in Ethereum recently. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can reward shareholders. One is obviously the stock price goes up. That we love that. We don't control that, but love it.
I
And
hear
then the
you.
other, if you feel like your company's trading, at a discount to your book value, you can give some of that back to shareholders, and we've done that periodically. One of the reasons we've done that is we've seen around those times we've seen high short interest in the stock. It kind of forces them to either pay that dividend, which they can obviously do in cash, but it kind of forces them to make a decision if they want to stick around and pay or kind of exit the company. So it's a very nice catalyst to try to get fundamental holders into your stock. But it was fun. It was a really fun project to pay people in Ethereum. People were really excited about it, and it really showcases the power of finance. And we were able to do that instantaneously versus paying it out in cash.
Charles Allen is the CEO, chairman of the board, BTCS Incorporated. BTCS is their ticker symbol. Charles, we have about a minute left, and it's crazy to think that we're almost at the end of Q2. Looking, we can see Q3 from here. As far as the last 6 months of 2026, what's the game plan with BTCS? Any big changes that you can talk about, obviously, as the CEO of a public company, or is it nose to the grindstone, status quo?
Well, I would say it's both, right? It's nose to the grindstone, status quo, plus this year in 2026, we've really shifted our focus to be on profitability.
Mm-hmm.
So we put that both in terms of what we're looking at for gross profit. We put out, I wouldn't call it guidance, but we put out what management's targets are, which is a baseline of 6 million in gross profit for 2026, which would be 3 times what we did in 2025. Q1 should be coming out soon. I can't really say more than that. That's that's what is it? Coming out Thursday, I think, or Friday morning.
Sure.
So that should be, I can't really say more beyond that. The
No
numbers
worries. No worries.
And there's a focus on gross profit, and so that's our goal for 2026 is to really, we've proven we can grow revenue. We went from 4 million in 2024 to 16 million in revenue in 2025. That was our goal. We delivered. Now our goals, let's turn that lever and get some, improved profitability.
Charles Allen, CEO, chairman of the board, BTCS Incorporated. Charles, always appreciate the time. BTCS ticker symbol.